sing the anthem. We lay our future in thy hand, united free for liberty, together we'll always stand. O Uganda, the land of freedom, our love and labor we give, and with neighbors all at our country's calling, peace and friendship will live. Oh, Uganda, the land that feeds us by sand and fertile soils grown. For our own dear land we shall always stand, the pearl of Africa's crown. The East African anthem. Thank you very much. May you all please take your seats. As we now invite Dr. Sarah Birete, the Executive Director of the Center for Constitutional Governance, to please come and give us her opening remarks. Sarah, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are told the chief guest is just entering the room. And when he comes in, I want to hand over to the Master of Ceremonies again. the moderator to usher in our chief guest.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarah Birete. Let's welcome the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker with a hand clap, and we stand up as he comes in. We're all very fit. Even if he comes in 3 or 4 minutes, we shall manage. Dr. Matemba, as I said, we're all fit. If he comes in 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, we can stand up and wait. Okay. Maybe we sit down. Maybe. I knew we were fit, so we can stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. And the smart gentleman came and told me I should make a few remarks as the chief guest is coming in, but Nobert Mao, I don't know what comments I can make for now. I can ask you if you're well, sir. Or I can keep Pastor Martin away from you. You're most welcome, Pastor Martin Semper. Oh, I've also seen the man. You're most welcome, Honorable the man, Ken the man. As I catch your eye, I'll give you a mention. These ones up here are coming onto the panel, so they'll have their own introduction. Right. Could you all stand up and welcome the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker? Here we go. A hand clap welcoming him in. Okay, thank you very much. Let's take our seats. You're most welcome, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. We've been waiting, and you're most welcome to this conference on the Constitution. I hand over to Dr. Sarah Birete.
Thank you very much, our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Oscar Semoyamsoke, our Mistress of Ceremonies and Head of Programs at CCG, Ms. Judith Atim. Thank you very much for ushering in us through the opening ceremony. The Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, the Minister for Constitutional Affairs for the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Chairman Nobert Mao, the German Ambassador to the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Matthias, I don't know whether I know how to pronounce the second name, please forgive me. Our keynote speaker, Professor PLO Lumumba, you're most welcome. Representatives of diplomatic missions to Uganda, heads of political parties present, Honorable members of parliament present, representatives of state agencies present, members of the academia, heads of civil society organizations, representatives of the Uganda Law Society, CCG board members present, our chairperson, Mr. Godba Tumshabe, our CCG senior member, Madam Fatmata Tule, leaders of the Hope Initiative clubs from 25 universities in Uganda, ladies and gentlemen, in your respective capacities. It's a great honor for CCG to host you today at the inaugural forum for the Conference on the Constitution series. This is part of our effort to contribute to the culture of constitutionalism in East Africa, and we shall convene these high-level forums on an annual basis. Today we gather not just to discuss the words on paper, but to reflect on a shared vision of justice, democracy, and prosperity for our region. East Africa as a region is marked by rich histories, diverse cultures, and unique national experiences, and we find strength in unity and shared values. Constitutionalism binds us not only within our countries, but also as a region striving for peace, development, and the rule of law. In principle, the treaty establishing the East African Community declares, among other things, that the partner states undertake to abide by the principles of good governance, including adherence to the principles of democracy, rule of law, social justice, and maintenance of universally accepted standards of human rights. However, translating these principles into practice remains a challenge across the sub-region. The meaning and importance of constitutionalism is more than a system of governance. It is a commitment to uphold principles that transcend leadership and time. It demands adherence to the rule of law, protection of human rights, separation of powers, and guarantee for democratic freedoms. It assures citizens that their voices matter and their rights are protected and leaders are accountable to the people. True constitutionalism creates not just a government by the people, but a government for the people, however, that in our politics. Today's conference should serve as a platform for dialogue, reflection, and action. Let us look closely at the areas where constitutionalism in East Africa has thrived and be honest about where it has faltered. Let's forge alliances between governments, civil society, and international partners to support each other in strengthening democratic institutions. I wish to reiterate the commitment of the Center for Constitutional Governance to stimulating debate and growing a community of scholars, practitioners, and active citizen engagement on constitutionalism and rule of law in the sub-region. Consistent with this commitment, we are launching this forum, but also the virtual Constitutional Museum, the first of its kind that will be launched by the chief guest after his remarks. The museum will be a one-stop center and depository of constitutional history, research and evolution about the state of constitutionalism in Uganda, East Africa, and the rest of Africa. And in addition to this commitment, CCG conducts continuous constitutional literacy in universities in Uganda, and we also amplify voices of citizens in their governance through daily engagements on Civic Space TV, a channel that is streaming live this engagement. As I conclude, I wish to take opportunity to thank our guests, and our partners for the support extended towards the hosting of this conference. I wish to thank all my colleagues at CCG and Civic Space TV for the efforts towards making this conference a success, and I wish you all fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarah Birete, for the opening remarks. Coming to this event, Dr. Birete, I came with a young assistant. I think she could qualify for a Gen Z, and she has already logged into the museum. So if there are other oldies like me and Martin Semper, there are people on hand who can give you advice, relevant advice on scanning and getting in. So, okay. So please allow me to invite for opening remarks by His Excellency Matthias Schoer, the Ambassador of Germany to Uganda.
Right Honourable Deputy Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, Thomas Tayebwa, Honourable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Nobert Mao, Keynote Speaker, Professor Lumumba, Members of Parliament, representatives of government, civil society, media and academia, distinguished guests, good morning. Mwasuzumutya. Constitutions can take all kinds of forms, written or unwritten, long or short. In preparing for this event, I learned that the constitution, the shortest version is the Constitution of San Marino with less than 4,000 words. The longest is the Constitution of India, which is almost 600 times that long with 146,000 words. Being trained as a lawyer, I always take particular interest in the legal framework of my host country, as it is the laws and regulations that set the rules for everyday life, and the basis for all these regulations is the Constitution. The Constitution sets the rules for the functioning of society, outlining both the rights and the duties of both the citizens and the state institutions. It is this dividing up of responsibilities and rights, a sort of burden sharing, you might say, within a society that must be done in a very good way to ensure social consensus. And that is the very basis for any healthy and dynamic development. This morning, I listened to the panel here, and I was a bit surprised by the scathing criticism I heard. If I remember correctly, tool of dictatorship and constitutional hypocrisy and not citizens but subjects. I'm not that critical. Of course, I have nowhere near your level of expertise. I know the German constitution quite well, but I've looked at the Ugandan constitution quite a few times, and I think it's quite well written. It contains all the necessary ingredients of a modern constitution. And from what I observe, it's more the implementation where there is sometimes room for improvement. Let me give you a little example. Paragraph 29, Article 29, paragraph 1, letter D of your constitution guarantees every person, and I quote, the freedom to assemble and to demonstrate together with others peacefully and unarmed. Just in the last 10 days, reading the papers, I saw reports of a demonstration of 15 young people, then a demonstration of 18 young people that were whisked away by the police immediately when they started to demonstrate. Now, I know there is a Public Order Management Act, and I don't know the details, but when I read this, I have the impulse that I would really welcome if such small demonstrations that do not seem to endanger the public order in any way would be allowed to happen. From what I've been told, that there is a process ongoing to amend the Public Order Management Act, and hopefully that will lead to a good result. The Constitution of Germany is officially not even called a constitution, but it's called Basic Law, as it was supposed to be revised after the unification of West and East Germany. This never happened. The unification did, but not the revision of the Constitution, because the West Germans had grown very fond of their Basic Law. Being written right after the devastating Nazi terror and the Holocaust, the German Basic Law has federalism and human rights at its core. It states right at the beginning that, quote, the German people acknowledge inviolable and inalienable human rights as the basis of every community of peace and of justice in the world, end of quote. And over the years, our Constitutional Court has taken a very strong stance in defending fundamental rights, overruling parliamentary laws quite a number of times. But enough on the German Constitution. We're here to discuss constitutions in East Africa, and more specifically, the importance of constitutionalism. We just heard about that. In modern democracies, the evolution and impact of the Constitution in shaping national governance in Uganda and East Africa, and contemporary challenges and the need for constitutional reform. Societies change and constitutions have to be adapted. At the same time, fundamental rights and democracy must be protected. In Uganda, there is an ongoing discussion on safeguarding civic space, holding perpetrators for human rights abuses accountable, and strengthening the electoral processes. Together with the European Union, Germany supports the GIZ-implemented Governance and Civil Society Support Program in Uganda. The engagement of state actors and citizens to raise awareness of the rights and responsibilities of each actor, equipping civil society to engage in accountability and governance processes. Today's conference presents a valuable opportunity for dialogue on critical issues. It brings together a diverse array of voices and perspectives, and this diversity is a strength. The discussions of this conference can serve as a guiding light, showing us how Uganda might enhance its constitutional system and processes, ensuring that they truly serve the people that they are meant to protect. It is also a great honor to witness the launch of this constitutional virtual museum that we're seeing here in the background, a digital constitutional museum, something I'd never heard of, and I'm very eager to get to know it a little better. It's a flagship program for the promotion of the culture of constitutionalism. This digital museum will be a one-stop center for literature on constitutionalism in Uganda and East Africa. Let me conclude by thanking the organizers of this conference, the Center for Constitutional Governance, and the other partners for the very carefully crafted topics and excellent selection of speakers. I look forward to the discussions and hope we shall have practical and tangible outcomes. Thank you very much. Mwebalinyo.
Thank you very much. Mwebalinyo. His Excellency, Matthias Shoa. Can I say it in Luganda? Shower. That's better? Correct. No. Thank you very much. He really deserves a bigger hand clap. Spoke like a lawyer, spoke like a true diplomat he is. He said comments were a bit scathing. He looked at it and it's good. So really, he deserves a huge hand clap. Thank you, Ambassador, His Excellency Matthias Shoa, Ambassador of Germany to Uganda. Right, now I want to move into the meat of things. I'd like to invite Honorable Nobert Mao, who is the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, to give his remarks. At the end of his remarks, in this room, he's the only one who can invite the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. I'll miss out on that opportunity. So over to you, Right Honorable, Honorable Nobert Mao. And as I said, forever chairman.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the German ambassador, our keynote speaker, our very own Professor P.L. Olumumba, who is going to give the keynote address today. All the distinguished guests, I see a number of people from political organizations, including my very own grand old party, the Democratic Party. Dear friends, I'm just here to give a kind of appetizer. I will really make more detailed comments later as a panelist. So this one is an interlude speech while the speaker prepares to come to address us. We have got to look at the phases of our history. We have the colonial phase up to the time of the Idi Amin coup. We really have to look at the timelines in order to better appreciate these issues that have gathered us here. It is not difficult to see very distinct changes. Then you see that period 79, that 71, Amin coup up to his fall, and thereafter the Tito Okello Lutwa coup. Then you look at that period up to 1986. Then we have what I would call the honeymoon phase, 86 to 96. Those 10 years when the citizens of Uganda were like those animals in Animal Farm, running all over the place, sighing with relief about the demise of the dictatorship of Mr. Jones. Then you have the period since the Constitution was enacted in 1995, and then a new parliament was elected under that Constitution. I happen to have been a member of that parliament, together with the Honorable John Ken Luchamuzi. I don't know who else is here from the 6th Parliament. Yes? The Honorable Miriam Matembe made the Constitution. That Constitution, of course, has been clashing with reality. You can have the ideals that are documented in a written document we call the Constitution. Then you have got the reality. Let me unpack it. It's really the difference between the wedding day and the marriage, if you want to understand it very quickly. So, the enactment of the Constitution and its pompous launch, filled with hope and expectation, was the wedding day. What we are going through now is the marriage. And the marriage is a marriage between the building blocks that make up Uganda. Because I am from the north, from Acholi land. My ancestors never filled an application form applying to be part of Uganda. We were just fenced in. So the Constitution is our way of learning to live with each other. So how we relate to each other as the building blocks of Uganda, and then how we relate to the state of Uganda. Now, the central question in this law meeting reality is the state a liberating force or a repressive force which tramples on civil society, which tramples civil society underneath? Does it liberate the energies of citizens to innovate, to build, or does it repress? That is really the fundamental question. And I don't need to abuse anybody's mother to discuss that. I don't even need to name anybody. I simply need to talk about our expectations. So I would like to thank the Center for Constitutional Governance for taking us back to basics. What is being seen as criticism is actually citizens expressing their very high expectations of their government. My teachers knew I was very good. So whenever I would get even 80%, they would still not be impressed. And I thought that was really outrageous. Martin Semper was with me in Namilyango College, and indeed was my campaign manager for me to be his head prefect. So this gathering is about continuing to voice out our great expectations of the state of Uganda. It is not really a criticism. And you don't even need to be a political actor to say, look, when I come to Parliament to say, please, I don't like what you are doing, listen to me. I expect that there should be a mechanism to allow me to voice my views. Because if you beat me up once, you beat me up twice, you beat me up all the time, I may also decide that, well, how about now organizing also to fight back? And that's not how you create a peaceful country. You see, God armed every creature. We are all armed. Some animals have teeth, they can bite you. Some animals have nails, they can scratch you. Some animals have venom. Of course, some animals have speed, they run away. But God has equipped everybody with means of self-defense. So, by God's design and my own initiatives, I am now the public face of justice in Uganda. So I feel bad when people are faced with injustice, because I'm supposed to be the public face of justice. That is about the document. Now we've come to those who are supposed to give life to the document. That is now human beings. I love reading history, and I never get tired of quoting Barbara Tuchman. Of course, she has written very many books, The Guns of August, about war, The March of Folly, from Troy to Vietnam. Human beings generally specialize in stupidity, because you wonder how people who are actually so wise, they are continually doing very stupid things. That's why she wrote that book. And she asked, why did the Trojans bring that horse into their walled city, thereby allowing the enemy to come in? And what was America doing in Vietnam? That's why she wrote that book. Now, writing about human beings as agents to give life to the documented ideals that we call the Constitution, she wrote in another book, I think I wrote down the title here. It is called Practicing History. So Barbara Tuchman said, whole philosophies have evolved over the question of whether the human species is predominantly good or evil. I only know that it is mixed, that you cannot separate good from bad, that wisdom, courage, and benevolence exist alongside knavery, greed, and stupidity, heroism and fortitude alongside vainglory, cruelty, and corruption. We have a very good constitution, as the ambassador said. And that constitution was made by our representatives. When the president of Uganda was signing the constitution, he only complained about one issue, land. And of course, on the issue of land, the law is now clashing with reality. Citizens want superhighways. We cannot afford to compensate, because we said that before we encroach on your land, we must give you adequate compensation in advance. So you even wonder whether the designers of the roads who did so before the constitution was made did not make a provision for road reserves. As a result, somebody builds a kiosk near Ginger Highway and demands exorbitant amounts. And because of corruption, the people who are supposed to pay you, they come to discuss with you what will be their share of the money you will receive. So projects are stuck. We are returning money. We have hundreds of millions of dollars sitting because the Constitution has collided with reality. Government needs land to build manufacturing centers, industrial parks, so that our youth can have opportunity. We can't do it. So, to understand our predicament, we need to look at the Constitution through the eyes of those who made it. And I'll only refer to one element which keeps Ugandans awake: peaceful change of government. How did the party of fundamental change become the party of no change? I was in that parliament when the amendment came in 2005 to remove presidential term limits. It was a very, very tough discussion. We did not box each other. Our parliament was different. We did not have to evacuate anybody from parliament. The speaker was not under threat in any way. And the debate was on only one main hinge: national resistance movement was going to be like the leaders of the American Revolution. In any case, I still believe up to today that that revolutionary movement had enough personnel to continue providing top leadership for Uganda continuously without interruption. I still believe that because I know the men and women who are there. In America, of course, we had George Washington. Let's make him the equivalent of President Museveni. A great general, facing odds, overcoming them, celebrated by his citizens and his peers. And after 2 terms in office, he turns his back on power and leaves. You should read his farewell address. But why was he not anxious? Because there was John Adams, who was the second president. Not that they did not fight among themselves, but generally they had a core. John Adams left. By the way, there was no term limits in the American Constitution by the time he left. After John Adams, there was Thomas Jefferson. Then you have John Quincy Adams, and so on and so forth. So as we debated that contentious issue about a hero's departure, we simply told Parliament that if President Museveni, powerful as he is, and even more powerful as he was then, turned his back on power, no one would ever have dared to want to hang on to power, because there would be a precedent. Others have done it. Julius Nyerere did it. After Julius Nyerere, do you think there's any Tanzanian president who would even think about removing term limits? Nelson Mandela even went more radical, did 1 term and left. I would wish Dr. Birete and her team should go and reproduce that debate in the form of a small book, because we are here. So that you know what was at stake. I don't even think it is the 5 million. I don't think it is 5 million. I'm capable of eating your money and doing what I want to do. What will you do anyway? Then that's another matter. But I don't think serious leaders should put themselves in a position where they can be influenced by money. So, Uganda has seen very many things, but up to now, we have not seen peaceful change of government. It is our expectation that President Museveni will preside over a peaceful change of government. And we must continue insisting on that expectation. It is not treason. There's no part of Uganda that has not suffered. Elections have become a struggle for survival instead of a competition to serve. We just received this morning that the ruling party received a bloody nose in Kisoro. I'm sure the analysts are now looking for excuses and explanations. Well, that is an internal matter of the national resistance movement. If they want my advice as a friend, I will advise them on how to manage their primaries better, to avoid one leg walking to the left, one leg walking to the right, because the votes are in the same trousers, either the left pocket or the right pocket, because this lady is also NRM. So the votes were put in the left pocket, so the right pocket, but the wearer of the trouser is the same. So either way, but it is not good in terms of how a party should function, and it is not good for discipline. But let me not get distracted. It is the duty of Ugandans to realize that amidst cooperation, there must also be competition. It doesn't mean that you cannot cooperate with your competitor. All the football teams must meet together to agree on rules of the game, the FIFA rules. You cannot say you'll never talk to another team. FDC, DP, UPC, NUP, and so on, all must have an interest on the rules of the tournament. So, peaceful change is something we must insist on and put the responsibility at the correct address on the shoulders of President Yoweri Museveni, who at this point is so powerful that he can even safely ignore his opponents. That is a privilege not many people have had. Some presidents in Uganda could not change commanders. They would think twice before firing anyone. This one is capable of making you wake up in the morning as a top military commander, and as you come back from lunch, you are not there. That is power. And power comes with responsibility. And it is our duty in this meeting to never get tired of reminding President Museveni of the responsibility which comes with the great power that he has. He now has the challenge of surviving power. It is okay to have power, but surviving power is another skill set all along. How do you survive power? Nyerere survived power. Mandela survived power. Others were forced to survive power, like Kabila. Kabila was abandoned by the opposition. They just told him that, look, it is now stupid to even pretend that we are in a proper tournament. So how about you just run alone, you know? He did it once or twice and he realized that even him was not happy. Well, how do you feel happy scoring in an empty net? Who is going to cheer you? So eventually he had to do something to ensure that he saves his face and he exits. Now he's said to be a gentleman farmer. Others, like Obasanjo, tried to change the constitution. So each country must walk this walk. So I am preaching dialogue. Ugandans must start these difficult conversations. So, and that conversation cannot be prefaced by calling the government a junta, you know, when you say this is the junta. And then the government can also preface that conversation. The government cannot preface that conversation by calling its opponents enemies. So we need to first of all change our political vocabulary. What Professor PLO Lumumba calls political hygiene. There is a need for water, soap, and other detergents to ensure some kind of political hygiene. 3 weeks ago, there was a meeting here where we signed a peace pact. And all the political parties were there. All of them signed except the FDC, which gave its reasons in writing. The NUP was there, they signed. That is a good step. Pardon? Is that a heckler or? I said all the parties signed. Yes, well, English composition and grammar classes may have been either very early or a bit late for you. Anyway, we need to talk to each other. Let me conclude. Next year, our constitution will be 30 years old. It is a constitution whose vital organs have been tampered with. One vital organ was the term limits. The other vital organ was the age limit, which personally really wasn't a big deal. I believe very strongly, as I conclude, that notwithstanding all the things that we see, there are still reasons for hope in the future of Uganda. I want to call upon the young people who are the majority. You are the ones who are going to live in that future of Uganda. If you are from NUP, and you see somebody wearing a yellow t-shirt, and you throw sulfuric acid on that person, as happened in Chira municipality, what kind of Uganda are you building? And if you are from the National Resistance Movement, and you see somebody wearing a red beret, and you immediately want to descend on them and beat them up, what sort of Uganda are you building? I saw President Biden and President Trump sitting together. The meeting is not recorded, but they sat there for 2 hours. Why do they do that? To send a message to the citizens of America. Now, the leaders in Uganda take the microphone and unleash venom. But behind the scenes and outside the cameras, they are talking to those they publicly insult. We must have the courage to do things which show that Uganda is big enough for all of us and that we can all fit. Now, 75% of Ugandans are below the age of 30. 50% are below the age of 16. You could say we have a pot-bellied constitutional structure. It is a bulging population. So let us resolve here that the political leaders should change their language. I'm sure Biden had a lot of things. He could have even, perhaps he didn't even want to meet Trump. In any case, President Trump didn't attend his inauguration. But we need some sense of civility. Until we agree on how to talk about the future of Uganda, we are never going to design a better country. I am the chairman of the Cabinet Standing Committee on Human Rights, and I want to tell you we are having these difficult conversations with the top people. Because it is not about us. And I think President Museveni knows that this is not about him. This is about the country. I'm saying I believe. I believe. This is my belief. You can have your own belief. So, let us not lower the standard of the debate here. The reason I'm saying this is because I came a bit late, and the ambassador said that there was just another occasion for hyperventilating, you know. This is a thuggish government, this is this. Please, Center for Constitutional Governance, let this be a forum for with a difference. I have a lot of anger. My people were homosexually raped in northern Uganda, but this is not the time for me to come here and talk about it. People were buried alive in Gulu. This is not the time for me to come here. I have things I want to get out of my chest. But I have children, and soon I'm going to have grandchildren. I must think about them. So there's need for restraint, as we discuss, especially those of us who have had the privilege. At the age of 57, I think I have something to say to the young people. Don't start a fire you cannot put out. With those words, it's now my singular honor to invite the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, for whom I've already created the best platform.
Thank you. Honorable Nobert Mao, Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, our keynote speaker, Professor Rumumba, the diplomatic corps, General Mugisha Muntu, and leaders of the different political parties, organizers, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Honorable Mao, me and him, we usually pull each other's leg. I've told him that on a lighter note, he has been in the company of people who speak for long. Has also learned. Yeah. But the good thing is that he's very interesting. When he starts speaking, you don't want him to stop. Either way. I want to thank Center for Constitutional Governance for inviting me to join you here, because this is a very important topic. A topic that is so dear to me and has been making me ponder on a lot of things. And the many things that I've been pondering about mainly relate to the connection between the elite and the leaders, plus the local people who form majority of Ugandans. What we think of them and what they think of us. Because the way we interpret constitutionalism sometimes seems to be different when I go back down to the people on the ground. The connection. A very good example being, I've met many leaders. That parliament, very weak parliament. These MPs, useless. These MPs, they don't know what they are doing. But when you go to stand with them before the voters, they defeat you. Why do voters choose stupid people and leave you who understands? It's a question. The people you call stupid, they get 90%. You who knows things, or who lays down your CV, they get a comedian and they vote a comedian. And then, how do you respond? By going again to ridicule the choice of the people who exercised their right according to the Constitution. You write him off. And a very good recent example to me would be the recent American election, whereby supporters of a certain candidate were considered to be like people who don't understand, people who are not, you know, people who are not up to date with the reality. And what do you end up getting? If I know that you're coming to interview me to get my opinion, to go and abuse me, I keep quiet. Then you go, you get wrong opinion. You have your opinion polls, so and so is reading. You go to the ballot box, you look for the votes, against. So where is that disconnect? Where is it coming from? Because it's people who have made choices as per the Constitution. How come they vote for a senior six river against a professor? It's something we need to look at deeply and reflect on. Otherwise, we shall continue being in Sheraton, in Serena. We shall talk, then the people will continue making their choices. And we shall have to live with those choices. No, against who? Against the majority of the people? Against the majority of the people? So, why I'm bringing this point is from an angle of thanking Sarah and team, but also making a clarion call that we go down, we make people understand the values they should be getting from a leader. Because if you find that down, the people are voting an MP based on attending funerals, drinking with them, I can tell you in 2016, when I stood, you know, I had a certain situation where I was telling people about how I'm going to lobby for roads, how I'm going to lobby for schools and all that, and people said, yes, he has friends, he's connected, he's going to do it. And then someone went and listed all the bars in my constituency. He got a list of the bars, and he put 30,000 in each bar. 30,000 in each bar. Okay? I was in Kampala. I was reading 90% before I left. I received a call, the election is gone. Why? I mean, this one is the one who knows how to look after our throats. Is the one who knows. So, I had to rush back and confront a very difficult situation, luckily enough connected to my people. But now, if you sit and you say, hey, you've decided to vote a drunkard, have a drunkard, they will have him. They don't mind about your threats. You get it? So I had to call religious leaders, I had to call opinion leaders, and I say, how do we determine a vote based on Waraji? And we went in, we talked, and people later on understood what I was talking about. So the problem of the elite is having these conferences in Sheraton when the locals are having their conferences in bars. And the majority of the people there. So how do we go down? Because, and it's also an indictment on us as a government. Because we should make people understand their constitution. In fact, it's a requirement under the law that we should publicize this constitution, we should support civil society, we should make people understand clearly how they should be governed. Otherwise, they'll be making misleading choices, but those are the choices we shall have to deal with. Number two is demonizing each other. You know, we usually write off, and some people, because they think they are cleverer than others. So we have that disconnection. And, you know, I look at different situations. A very good example, how we were being ridiculed when we were addressing the question of age limit. And personally, I made it very clear. I will vote for the removal of age limit. What I support is for return of term limits. And I can give you a good example. Colonel Valentine Stresser became the president of Sierra Leone on his 25th birthday in 1992 at 25 years. So if you were to say age limit is a problem, okay, then Colonel Stresser would legitimately rule Uganda or Sierra Leone for 50 years to reach the age of 75. Kabila in Congo became a president at 29 years. So if you say age is a problem, going beyond 75 years was a problem, he would rule DRC for over 40 years, legitimately, if you have to go by the age of 75. That's why the strongest benchmark is term limits. And my prayer, and the prayer I have, is that after President Museveni, we should never have any leader who will rule Uganda for more than 2 terms. That's my prayer, and I'm open about it. We must work together to return term limits. I remember in 2016, when we passed that constitutional amendment law, and it was challenged. So some of the people who are challenging it, I shared with them. I said, but you know, with challenges, we managed to put in term limits. Don't challenge the whole bill. Challenge parts of the bill so that we can save those which are very positive and we badly wanted, which was including term limits. Someone said, no, we shall challenge the whole bill and we shall win it in court. I said, we've struggled to put in term limits. Okay? Please, let's separate. We focus on some clauses, we challenge them. They refused. When they went to court throughout the whole bill, the struggle we had passed through to achieve term limits in 2016 again was lost. Now here we are. No, in 2021, sorry, not 2016. 2021. In 2020, yes, was lost. So we lost it that way. So it's very, very important. And Honorable Mao, yes, we have our MPs who fight. It's very, very unfortunate. No leader would really want to say that. And I've advised them that you don't need to come and knock and kick each other for you to be heard. But I think now that we have a very serious karate champion here in Professor Mumba, maybe I can use the words of one of the Zen monks, Hamin Sunim, in his book, The Things You See When You Slow Down. He says that when you master 18 levels of karate, you can destroy a person by the flick of a finger. But when you master all the 36 levels of karate, you will ignore when someone foolishly attacks you. I think it's all about restraint and knowing that the more power you have, the more responsibility you have as a leader. So the state of rule of law, we have tried what we can. I think on the rule of law, now with the passing of the administration of Judiciary Act. The judiciary can no longer have any complaints. Now their budget is statutory. They are no longer begging that I want to appoint a judge, what, no. This year we gave them, I think, around 70-something billion to recruit 10 more high court judges, 5 more court of appeal judges. We've increased through the Minister for Justice the number of judges. We amended the law. Now we are going to have much more judges. The disconnect that we had within the jail sector. For example, now we still have a very big challenge. We've recruited judges, but we've not recruited attorneys, state attorneys. So we have to recruit more so that we bridge the gap of state prosecutors versus the number of judges we have, so that the criminal justice system can be fully reformed. We have, of course, more issues to do with human rights. I can't say we are 100% clean, but with more and more improvement and such engagements, I believe we shall be able to achieve more. As I conclude, in my conclusion, I want to say that as we inaugurate this series, let us remember that the true measure of constitution lies not in its words, but in its implementation. East Africa's future depends on our collective commitment to uphold the rule of law, protection of human rights, and ensure that power serves the people. To us leaders, civil society actors, and citizens, this is our call to action. To build societies where justice is not just an aspiration, but a lived reality. Where constitutions are not mere documents, but the living essence of our governance. Together, let's ensure that the ideals of constitutionalism illuminate the path toward a brighter and more inclusive East Africa. I want to thank you. And with those very many words, but Oscar, I want to tell you that even in the challenges we have, Mama Miria is always praying for us. She had not heard that.
Thank you very much. The Right Honorable Speaker needs a huge hand clap. And as he comes here for the photograph, I should tell you, the DJ should take note that I have a very large voice. I might get people to go deaf. So I wondered how he was going to respond to Honorable Mao, and we didn't give Honorable Mao a huge hand clap, which he deserves. And the Right Honorable Speaker was correct. You can listen to Mao all day, okay? And he spoke, and he spoke, and he spoke. So the Ambassador Shaw, is a lawyer. Did you notice? He also responded to the early morning panel here. Ambassador, please step forward here. Another lawyer, Honorable Mao, please step forward here. Another lawyer, Dr. Birete, please step forward here. And then the guest speaker and I, who are not lawyers, but we come. Oh, you're a lawyer as well. Yeah? Professor Lumumba is a professor of law. And there I was thinking you're a teacher. But he's a lawyer. So, that's yours. That's yours. That's yours.
I started this thing, CCG.
CCG. Where's your thing? Where's your thing? Judith is giving you one. Okay. And an OB of Mao. But where's your brown thing? You go to him. So, ladies and gentlemen, without standing up, can you hold the This, yes, is yours. Okay. Thank you. So hold, and then Right Honorable Speaker will launch.
Those ones of Kabiriti, I'm sorry, it won't be able to scan. But I hereby launch the Katiba Virtual Museum on Constitutionalism. Please scan the barcode and you get to the Virtual Museum. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. A huge hand clap for the digital launch. In a few, before lunch or thereabouts, we shall actually sign digitally so that it happens. Many times you want to feel like you have written somewhere. So, Honorable Mao, as you said in your parliament, remember in your parliament you had Ken the man. Okay, at that time he was the man. He would challenge anyone. But I remember one day he took off. Then you also had Miriam Matembe. She was, oh, Dr. Matembe is still fire, as you saw today. So even your parliament had those people. Let's take our seats. And as we escort the Right Honorable Speaker out, he's a group photograph. The one we've had? He's very, very late. So as the Deputy Speaker is moving out, can the man come and use 2 minutes to deliver a poem so that we don't play music? You wanted Honorable Mao to listen to it, and Miriam Matembe to listen to it, and Professor Lumumba to listen to it. You start and then we'll. They have to come back. Okay, we are moving on to the next session, the keynote speech. I remember earlier when a very smart gentleman said, make a commentary. Our photographers here, can you take a photograph of me standing next to former presidential candidates of Uganda? The picture is mine. It is not yours, General Mugisha. Let's come, please, come and take a photograph. I'll just stand behind them. This is such a gem. The photographers, I don't know. Me, I just want with former presidential candidates. We shall use Joseph's. Yours is good enough. Mine is good.